The story begins with a beautiful proposal. Leticia didn't even remember how long she had been dreaming of this moment. Without hesitation, she humbly accepted his proposal. Sebran's future husband was overjoyed and relieved, as he had been wondering what he would do if she turned him down. Leticia comforted him by saying that there was no way she would refuse, and thanked him. When they returned home, Fiona seemed like she was looking for them. Sebran greeted her, and she said she had been expecting him. She saw Leticia holding a beautiful purple rose bouquet and asked if she had gotten it from someone. She assumed it was a present from Lord Sebran, and Leticia confirmed her. She said it was so lovely, just like the color of her eyes. Sebran said he would give her one too, a bouquet of blue roses, the same color as her eyes. Fiona said she couldn't because she didn't have the right to receive something like that. She was about to say something to Leticia, but she said she would put those flowers in a vase so they wouldn't wither, and in the meantime she asked her to keep him company. Fiona eagerly accepted, and they left there. While returning to her room, she saw her stepmother. She asked if the bouquet was a gift from someone and assumed that she received a proposal today. Leticia confirmed this, saying Sebran formally proposed to her. She said that was good for her and added that if things were the other way around, Fiona would have been chosen instead. When Leticia returned to her room, she was sure her father would have thought the same and started crying. Her biological mother, Lucretia Cardina, was the only daughter of a distinguished count's family. Her father and mother were said to have had a political marriage. Her father, Count Frank Cardina, and her mother, who had unrequited feelings for him, personally begged her parents and succeeded in marrying him. However, her father already had another lover. Lady Imelda was her current stepmother. At the time, their love was hindered by a difference in social status, and those around them opposed it. Their relationship was torn apart by her mother. However, even after being separated, they continued to meet in secret. Lady Imelda conceived her father's child, and that child was her stepsister, Fiona. When two children were born at the same time, her mother was broken. When she learned of Fiona's birth, she closed herself off and never spoke to anyone again. Even though she wanted to see her mother, the butler kept telling her that her mother became unsettled just by seeing her and she must endure it. While she was dealing with that, she met Lord Sebran. Lord Sebran was her childhood friend who lived nearby. When they were playing with flowers, Sebran noticed that she was making something and asked. She said it was a flower garland. He was amazed by how good she was with her hand and said he was jealous. His parents came and called for him. Leticia was much more envious of Sebran's warm family. She truly envied it. Sebran told his parents to wait and return to Leticia. He asked her to teach her to make a flower garland next time. She was surprised that he wanted to make it himself. He said that if he gave it to his mother, she would be happy, and he assumed she made hers for that reason too. He approached her and said that when he got sick, his mother gave him a little charm while saying, "I hope you get better soon." And he said he hoped that her mother would get well soon too. Seeing them getting along so well, Sebran's father suggested taking her as his bride in the future and embarrassed her. Her mother backed him up and said they would be thrilled. Their family had a good relationship with Marquis Cardina as well. Meanwhile, Lord Cardina was watching them from his office. He was asked if he was concerned about Leticia's growth, but he responded that his real daughter was only one person. Having received no affection from either her father or mother, she came to wish for a future where she would be united with him. Time passed after that, and her mother passed away from this world. It was 2 years ago, and she could remember her father's emotionless face. He wouldn't even shed a single tear. Just when she was thinking how alone she was, Sebran came and asked if she was all right. They said it was for relatives only, but he was worried about her, so he came right away. Leticia was shocked to see him and immediately started crying in his arms. She was devastated that her mother passed away without ever acknowledging her as her real daughter. Sebran said it was all right and he would always stay by her side. Sebran was the only one who hadn't changed and loved her. And that's why, even though he was the only hope she had to keep on living, when her father brought Fiona and Lady Imelda to their house, saying this was her new family, from now on, Imelda would be her stepmother, and Fiona would be her half-sister, and they would all be living together in this mansion starting today. Leticia didn't expect her father to be this cruel. It hadn't even been 2 months since her mother passed away. And even if he didn't love her, he should at least respect her. Leticia wanted to say that this was a bit too much, but Lord Cardina didn't let her speak and told her to do as she was told. He ordered her to treat Fiona kindly and show Fiona to her room. Her father, who could hardly be said to have shown her any fatherly affection, acted with those two as if they had long been a beloved family. Living with her mother, who could not speak due to illness, and her father, who seemed not to acknowledge her as his own daughter, Leticia felt she had no place here. Her thoughts were distracted by Fiona, who said this was a lovely mansion. She was amazed and said it was like a dream to be able to live in such a grand place, and assumed she must be very happy. Leticia heard that this mother and daughter lived alone in a small house in the suburbs, kept hidden away by her father. Fiona offered her hand to Leticia and said from now on as true sisters, she was looking forward to getting along with you. While going to her room, Fiona entered Leticia's room and started wandering around without permission. Leticia told her that this was her room, but she ignored her and noticed the photo of Sebran and her. She asked who he was and teased her. Panicked, Leticia tried to take the picture back, but she said she didn't need to hide it, and they looked perfect together. She said she was jealous because she didn't have someone like that. She asked for his name, and Leticia said he was Sebran, her childhood friend. She said it was a little surprising that Fiona didn't have someone special because she was very pretty. Fiona said that it was simple. It was because she was a mistress's child. Even though she had a perfectly respectable father, she had been looked down on just because they didn't live together. And that was how society treats a mistress and her child. Leticia didn't know this until now. Because of her and her mother, Fiona and her mother had to suffer like that. Fiona held her hand and said, that's why she was so happy to be invited to this mansion. She asked if Leticia would get along with her, and she said, of course. Even though Fiona wasn't guilty of anything, Leticia tried to endure the atonement toward the two of them. That said, more than ever before, she started to feel out of place, as if she were the only one here who didn't exist in this space. When she finished her meal, she stood up to go. Her father asked if Sebran was here to pick her up yet. Leticia didn't want Sebran to be mentioned, but there was nothing she could do. Fiona was abnormally excited that Sebran would be here. Lady Imelda told Fiona that she would be attending the same academy someday, and she should get acquainted. Fiona agreed and said she would go too. Imelda decided to greet him as Fiona's mother. Leticia didn't want Sebran to meet the two of them. When they were walking, Fiona couldn't help but show her excitement. Leticia had a bad feeling about this. Sebran's carriage arrived and he immediately greeted her. He noticed Fiona and Lady Imelda standing behind her and asked who they were. Fiona greeted Sebran and introduced herself as Leticia's half-sister. Leticia watched Sebran's eyes sparkle when he saw Fiona. He started sweating and stuttering out of nowhere. Leticia said she would explain the situation later. Lady Imelda told them to have a good time, and Sebran and Leticia left the house. Leticia couldn't stop remembering the moment Sebran met Fiona. The look on his face was so different. Leticia told him what happened when they were in the carriage and said that because of her mother and her, those people suffered too. Even so, she didn't want her time with Sebran to be taken away. When they left, Lady Imelda told Fiona to go back to the mansion ahead of them. She then went to the backyard and stood behind a man sitting there. She told him that he was just like a filthy rat and reminded him not to come here. Before she left there, she told him not to dare ruin their plans. Leticia didn't want to go home today. If Sebran and those two were together again, she wasn't sure what would happen. Her friend Viola called for her and asked what the matter was with her. She thought Sebran and Leticia had a rare fight and said if that was the case, he was an idiot for making someone as cute as her upset. Viola wasn't interested in boys at all because she thought they were just a hassle. She said that if it were her, she would want to be independent and live on her own in the future. As long as she had a skill, she could live without relying on anyone. Leticia totally supported her idea. Viola was shocked by her response because she seemed different. The thought of living on her own without relying on anyone made her feel really good and relieved. In the next scene, Leticia recalled one of the days when her deceased mother was in a good mood. She suggested going outside to see it after school and asked her to wait for her until she got back. At the rare sight of snow falling, her mother was excited, so she never imagined it would turn out like that. She went outside alone without waiting for her to come home and fell asleep on a bench. She realized that she had dozed off when her friend Isaac called her name. She apologized to him and he said it was fine, but she watered the flower so much that it was literally floating. He said if she was tired, he could finish the rest on his own. Leticia said she was fine and just lost in thought for a bit. She remembered it again because of the things she said. Leticia mentioned that taking care of the plants actually calmed her. Isaac noticed that she was unusual because nobody else ever wanted to be on the beautification committee. She giggled and said she liked plants. The more love she gave them, the straighter they grew. They were honest and adorable little things. Isaac seemed like he had never thought about it like that. Leticia noticed that it was strange that she could say, "the more love you give," when she had never once received her parents' love for herself, yet she still felt that way. Her friend Viola came and started scolding Isaac. She said that a guy like him on the beautification committee must have some ulterior motive. Leticia was confused because she didn't act like that at all. Isaac told Viola that it was just a way to kill time and commented that she was such an overprotective best friend. Viola told Isaac that there were rumors that he was a delinquent. Leticia still kind of admired him. Viola couldn't believe she actually liked that type, but she didn't mean that. She said he was always alone. She wondered if being alone ever felt lonely. When she goes home, they treat her like she didn't even exist, and she wishes to be as strong and dignified as him. Even though her family had grown in number, it felt like she had even less of a place than before. She tried not to think badly of her new family, but couldn't help it. Viola saw someone and asked who that was. She said she looked like an outside and thought they might be just here to look around. However, That person was Fiona. She saw Leticia and greeted her. She said that starting tomorrow she would be attending this academy too. From now on, they would be at school together, and she was so happy. She came today to finish the enrollment paperwork and asked if Sebran wasn't here. Leticia said he was in a different class. Fiona said they should talk when they got home and left there. Viola asked who that was. Leticia explained that the lady was her father's new wife and that she was her stepsister. Viola was shocked because she knew Imelda was that shameless mistress, and Fiona was her daughter. She found it beyond disgraceful that they moved into their house right after her mother passed away. Leticia defended them by saying they didn't do anything wrong, even if she was a mistress and the one her father truly loved was that woman. Viola couldn't believe she was defending them because a mistress was still a mistress, and there was no point in worrying about their feelings. When Fiona and her mother returned home, Imelda told her to get ready for her first day of school. Imelda was so happy to see Leticia's face like that. It was hard to burst out laughing at school. She looked just like her mother. Just remembering her mother made her blood boil. She stole away from her previous husband, and now Leticia's eyes made her feel like she was looking down on her. She thought they infuriated her, and she wanted to shatter them. But that was only a matter of time because she had a beloved daughter of her own. She wouldn't let them steal anything from her ever again. Not her husband, not this house, not anything. When they were returning from school, Sebran noticed from the carriage's window that Fiona and Imelda were waiting in front of their house. Imelda greeted Sebran and ignored Leticia. Leticia couldn't believe she was waiting for them to come back. Sebran said they didn't have to come out to greet them. She said it was fine and then invited him to their house and stayed for some tea. Imelda said she even baked cookies, and she wanted both of them to try them. They went to the garden and served the cookies. Sebran was surprised that Fiona made them. She said it was her hobby. Sebran tasted all of them and found them delicious. Fiona was glad he liked them. She said he never knew Fiona had such a talent and it was the best he had ever had. Imelda was thrilled because she had trained Fiona herself to cook delicious things. Imelda told Leticia to try some too, and she said okay. She ate one and seemed to have liked it just like Sebran. Fiona asked if she ever made sweets, and before she could respond, Imelda started laughing because a noble lady would never make sweets. All the household work was done by the servants after all. However, Leticia was a pure girl and commented that the tea Lady Imelda brews was also delicious. Fiona agreed and said her mother was very skilled at brewing tea. She didn't expect a comment like that and said that Fiona and she lived alone together for a long time, and she ended up getting good at all sorts of things. She didn't expect Leticia to look at her with sparkling eyes and say how amazing it was. She thought she was trying to throw her off balance. She hated her mother so much that she wanted to drive Leticia into a corner completely. Later that day, Leticia was doing her homework and started to think about Fiona and Lady Imelda. She figured out how much hardship they had gone through, and it was the kind she couldn't even begin to imagine before they came to this mansion. She wanted to be like them too. Wanted the strength to live without relying on anyone, and for that, she decided to ask their chef to teach her how to cook. He was quite surprised but wasn't sure if that would be okay because if she were to cut herself with a knife, her father would fire him. Leticia was about to say that her father didn't really care about her, but then an old lady appeared and said it was wonderful to take an interest in cooking. They asked if there was a certain gentleman she had her eye on. She said it wasn't like that. But that old lady told her that she already had someone. They figured that it was Lord Sebran and knew she couldn't let Lady Fiona beat her. She said that Fiona also came to borrow the kitchen and she was so eager. She said she was going to give the cookies to the man she was interested in. The lady wondered if she had already found someone at the academy who had caught her eye. But Leticia knew that meant that Fiona also liked Sebran. The next day, Sebran was waiting for the girls and said they would be together here too, starting today. Fiona was looking forward to being with him. Leticia noticed that Sebran was kind to everyone. It had only been a few days since they met, but they already looked like a couple. She tried to comfort herself, thinking it must be her imagination, but her eyes started to tear up already. On their way to school, Fiona mentioned that Sebran's family and her family had been close like family for a long ago. Sebran confirmed her. She suddenly held his hand and mentioned something that her father said. She asked for his opinion. Leticia was shocked. Fiona found it absolutely wonderful. Leticia thought she was talking about herself and Sebran, but when she mentioned that she knew Leticia and Sebran had been promised to each other since childhood, and that she just wanted to support the two of them, she was a bit relieved. She said that two of them were such a perfect match, so she would make sure not to get in the way. On the other hand, Sebran interrupted Fiona and said it wasn't like that. He said that they made that kind of promise when they were kids, and now it was more like their parents were the only ones saying it on their own. And besides, he thought it would trouble her if something like that was suddenly brought up and asked Leticia for her opinion. Leticia had no other choice but to confirm him. Sebran said neither Letty nor did he know what the future holds yet, so he wanted her to treat them normally. Fiona felt bad for jumping to conclusions. He said it was fine and asked Leticia. Leticia forced herself to smile. When they arrived at school, Sebran offered to walk Leticia to her class, but she said she had got class duty today, but she lied to them. Isaac saw her walking fast somewhere and was about to tell her something about the beautification committee, but when he noticed that she was crying, he was shocked. Worried, he followed her. She went to the stairs and sat there to cry. She couldn't believe she was expecting a real marriage over some childhood promise. Suddenly, someone walked in on her from behind and pushed her. Isaac ran to save her. In the next scene, Leticia saw a person standing there. When she got closer, she noticed that it was Sebran. But even though Sebran saw her, he ignored her and turned to Fiona. She was right next to him, and they were laughing. She reached her hand to tell Sebran not to go, but then woke up crying. Wondering where she was, she looked around and remembered that she had fallen down the stairs. The school doctor asked how she was feeling. She figured that she had been taken to the infirmary. She said her leg hurt a little. The doctor explained that a student nearby saved her. Apparently she was about to fall, but the student saved her from hitting her head. She could remember bumping into someone right before falling. The doctor told her that if she wanted to thank someone, she should thank him. Isaac was sitting there. The doctor said he saved her and carried her here. But Isaac fell asleep on the seat, so the doctor said he must be tired. After that, she asked how her leg was. When the doctor touched her leg to examine it, it hurt so bad that walking was out of the question. But apparently someone was coming to pick her up, so she didn't need to worry. Confused, Leticia wondered who was coming. Worried, Sebran entered the room and Leticia asked how he knew she was here. Fiona showed up right behind him and said a man named Isaac came to their class and told them. She seemed worried. Leticia asked what she meant by out of class. Sebran explained that today was Fiona's first day transferring in, so since she wasn't there, he took her to the staff room. Fiona said she was shocked when the teacher told her which class she was in. She said she ended up in the same class as Lord Sebran. Sebran said he was surprised too. Leticia was devastated because she was in a different class. Isaac woke up and told them to cut the chit-chat already. He asked Leticia how her injury was and asked if she could walk on her own. He turned to Sebran and stared at him for a moment. He was going to say something to him, but then Viola burst into the room asking if she was all right. She started scolding everyone, including Leticia, asking why she was alone in a place like that. Leticia tried to convince her that she was fine, but she was so worried. She then turned to Sebran and yelled at him that she couldn't walk today, and it was his duty to carry her or do something to make sure she didn't have to use her legs. Sebran was terrified of her and said she could leave it to him. Fiona asked who she was, and he explained that she was Leticia's close friend. Viola asked Sebran if he understood the reason why she was asking him. Sebran seemed to know the reason and told Leticia to get on, and he would take her to the carriage stop. Leticia's face was redder than a tomato, but Viola was so proud of herself. She wasn't sure if that would be okay, even though she was so happy. Fiona told them to wait and asked if that wasn't too much. She asked if they weren't embarrassed. Viola asked what she was talking about and reminded her that Leticia couldn't walk. Fiona said she thought Lord Sebran might be embarrassed and Leticia might not have wanted that either. When Leticia thought about Sebran, she found Fiona right. But suddenly, Isaac stepped in and carried her in his arms. He told the others that this wasn't the time to worry about appearances and they should get home and see a doctor right away. Leticia told Isaac that it was fine and he could put her down. But this made him even more mad, and he told her that an injured person should just shut up and rest. Sebran thanked Isaac, but he turned to him and reminded him that this was his job. Fiona seemed very happy that Isaac was doing this instead of Sebran. Before they left the room, Isaac noticed that Fiona's facial expression changed from innocent to evil, and he felt a sense of unease. She was a hard one to read. While he was carrying Leticia to the carriage, everyone in the schoolyard was watching them, so Leticia thought she should get down, but Isaac told her to shut up again. She said she must be heavy, and he told her not to worry about it. She was having a hard time understanding why he would go this far for someone like her. Isaac asked if she was planning to leave him to take care of all the plants himself and told her to hurry up and get that leg healed. The bully of the school saw them and started teasing Isaac, asking if a low-born noble like him had stooped to being some girl's pack horse. But Isaac kicked him out of his way and didn't care about him. Leticia felt so bad that she put him in this position, but he said he was used to it. Nobility was all nonsense to him. When they arrived at the carriage, Viola told her not to push herself and gave her the stuff they were holding for her. When they returned home, Lady Imelda was waiting for them in a big excitement. She was shocked when she saw Leticia using crutches. Fiona explained that Leticia hurt her leg. Sebran told Leticia to get on him, and he would carry her to her room, and Fiona said she would take the luggage. While they were supporting them, Lady Imelda got over her shock and showed her frustration because there was something even more important than that. Her father was also shocked that she had hurt her leg. Sebran apologized to her father for not being there. Her father said today was Fiona's first day at school and seemed to care more about that. Imelda backed him up and said it seemed like she did it on purpose. Her father then told Sebran that he would take over from here and carried Leticia. Imelda got even angrier and asked if he realized what he was doing. She said that today was Fiona's very first day at her new school, and nothing was more important than that. Her father reminded Imelda that there was only one daughter who mattered right in front of Leticia. Once again, Leticia realized that she really didn't have a place here. When he brought her to her room, Leticia thanked him for going out of his way, but he didn't even look at her. Seeing that reaction, Leticia would rather have him do nothing at all. It only made things more awkward. But suddenly, her father asked how school life was. Leticia was shocked and asked if he was talking about her school. She was taken aback and thought her father was concerned about her. But when he asked if Fiona was doing all right, at least, she realized what he meant and responded that she was fine. She said that because of what happened to her today, she hasn't been able to check up on her properly. He then asked if her leg hurt. Given how things were, she tried to comfort him that she had crutches, and she wasn't troubling anyone now, even though her leg hurt. Her father seemed nervous and asked her to give him a little of her time. Leticia asked what it was, but then he seemed to change his mind and told her to forget what he said and do something about her leg. At dinner, Leticia used her crutches to return to her room. She said she took a while to get ready, so she went ahead. While she was trying to walk, Lady Imelda tripped her and made her fall. She yelled at her to stop being so spoiled. She said that she couldn't expect her father and Lord Sebran to carry her around forever, and that she should practice walking with her cane more. Fiona asked if she was okay and assumed she wasn't used to the cane. Her mother noticed how worried Fiona was and once again was proud of herself for giving birth to such an angel. On the other hand, she was calling Leticia the filthy crawling sow in her head. When they went to the carriage, Sebran mentioned that his parents were worried about her injury, and they would like to come by today. She said she wouldn't mind it, while Fiona was getting excited that she got to meet his parents. At that moment, Leticia never imagined that she would spend the most wonderful day of her life, only to endure the worst night of it too. When Leticia was a child, she was captivated by embroidery. Sebran's mother was skilled at embroidery. Since she found no joy in teaching it to her sons, she taught her as though she were her own daughter. When she was trying to do it, she noticed that Leticia had talent. She then noticed that she had pricked her hand with the needle. She started to look for a first aid kit because they needed to treat it, but she said it was nothing. She told Leticia that germs could get in and it might fester. After treating her fingers, she said they could be at ease now. Her real mother was bedridden with illness. If she had been healthy, she wondered if it would have been like this. It made her so happy that she was taking care of her. Back to the present, she mentioned to Viola that Sebran's parents were visiting their house. She said she hadn't gone to see them since her mother passed, so she was looking forward to it. Viola found it shameless that those ill-bred people would be sitting in on the visit too. Isaac overheard her and asked who exactly she was talking about. Viola said she didn't mean him and she was talking about Leticia's half-sister. Isaac also called her a shameless tramp. He asked what it was about, and Viola said Sebran's parents were coming to visit out of worry about Leticia's injury, and yet those girls were acting all giddy as if it was about them. Isaac didn't expect Sebran's parents to be good people. Viola said it was still good that she would be able to see them again. Isaac then asked how her leg was. She said she wasn't used to the crutch, so she fell a few times, but she was fine now. She remembered how much Isaac helped her and wanted to do something to thank him. He told her to make sure she was healed before the beautification committee's work got through. After their class ended, Leticia asked Viola if she knew the reason why Isaac joined the beautification committee. However, she also didn't know about it. When Leticia returned home, their butler showed her a wheelchair. He said it was from her father because of her injured leg. He told her to try using it right away. Leticia realized that this was what her father meant when she said he was preparing something. The butler helped her sit and asked how it was. It felt comfortable, and it seemed easy to use. The butler commented that if he gave her something so expensive, her father must really treasure her. But his words didn't really affect her because she remembered her father saying she only had one daughter that mattered to him. She knew he didn't care about her, but still he was the one who gave her this wheelchair. A maid arrived and informed her that the Maguire couple, Lord Sebran's parents, were here to visit. She seemed to panic, so Leticia told her that she would be there right away. However, the reason why maid was panicked was that they arrived 30 minutes ago, and Lady Imelda went to greet them instead. Lady Imelda told them she was feeling down and didn't want to see anyone. After that, the Maguire couple wanted her to come check on her. Leticia asked the butler to lend her a hand, and they went downstairs. She couldn't believe something like this happened, and she gave them such a wrong impression. When she arrived there, she apologized for being late. However, Sebran's mother was so excited to see her and immediately hugged her, saying how much she missed her. While hugging her, she said she was so glad that it was the same Leticia as always. With teary eyes, she said she must have been so lonely since her mother passed away and told her that she had done so well. Leticia couldn't help but cry because she needed those words. While they were hugging, Lady Imelda cleared her throat. Sebran's father mentioned how Imelda mentioned she didn't want to see anyone. Imelda was bold enough to say that she had been unstable since losing her mother, but she seemed to be doing well today. They sat down and Sebran's mother noticed that she didn't look well. She noticed the dark circles under her eyes and asked if she was sleeping properly. Lady Imelda didn't let her talk and said it was natural since she had been an only daughter until they came. She even bowed to her, saying they had only just come to this house, and because of their shortcomings, she was sure there were things Leticia didn't take kindly to and she was sorry. She said that they already saw her as true family, but in her eyes they were only more than outsiders. Leticia was shocked by how well she was playing the victim. She even started tearing up, saying she wished to become like a real mother to her as soon as she could, and she had been making the effort, but she had felt how hard it was to be close to her. Leticia almost froze hearing those words. Sebran's mother went to comfort Imelda and said they had a son that age too, and they understood the frustration when things didn't go smoothly. Fiona interrupted and said her mother raised her all on her own, and she was a mother she was proud of. She said she loved this house and Lord Sebran too and just wanted to get along with everyone. They were all amazed by how cute and diligent Fiona was. Fiona told Leticia to come talk to her about anything. Leticia had no idea what the hell was going on. She was being painted as the villain here and she couldn't even say a word. Suddenly, Sebran's parents glanced at each other and his father nodded. After that, his father asked Fiona and Imelda to excuse them for a while. Imelda couldn't hide her real face, so he said that he wanted to speak with Leticia in private. He said he knew it was rude to ask, but they asked them to allow it just once. Even though Imelda was uneasy, she and Fiona left the room. When they left, Sebran's parents said they could talk properly and that Lady Imelda was right about her not being at ease. Leticia immediately tried to clear things up, but Sebran's mother said she already knew that wasn't true. She had watched her since she was little, and she wasn't the kind of child who would ever say that. Leticia was so glad that they knew her. Suddenly, Sebran's mother asked Leticia to come live with them. Panicked, Leticia asked what she meant. She said she meant to live together. She said if it were just 2 years later, they would both be adults and able to get engaged. His mother asked Sebran about his opinion on engaging Leticia in 2 years. Before he responded, Leticia recalled what he said in the carriage. But to her surprise, Sebran was okay with getting engaged. He said he would have to think of some proper proposal words. Leticia mentioned how he said it was only some childhood promise. He said at the time he felt that way, but he said he liked her. Leticia was over the moon. She thought there would be nothing happier than this. Meanwhile, Lady Imelda broke things. Fiona explained to the butlers that her mother slipped her hand and asked them to clean up. Imelda was sure they were mocking her, looking down on her, and shutting her out. And she was also angry at those maids and butlers who brought her. And she was sure that the wheelchair was her husband's doing. She couldn't stand any of this. Leticia opened the door and informed her that the guests were leaving now and asked if she would go to see them off. She started yelling at her and called her a rotten kusaradama. Apparently it was the name of that flower lying there. It was named for resembling pea family's radama, also called sulfur grass. Fiona joined Leticia to see the guests off. Leticia looked at her and she knew she liked Sebran too. But she was happy that Sebran chose her. She didn't have to feel insecure anymore. When they left, they headed back to the house. The Lord was informed that the Maguire couple had come and he apologized for not being there. Imelda said it was fine and she took care of them. She then immediately mentioned the meaning of buying this expensive wheelchair to her. Her father stated that it was something they already had in the house and it took some time for servants to find where it had been stored away. Leticia realized that her father didn't spend any money on that and wondered why something like this would be in their house. After that, she wanted to have a word with him. Her father seemed nervous and asked what it was. Lady Imelda asked if she wouldn't let them hear it too. She said she didn't want to talk about it here, but Fiona assumed it was about the engagement. Shocked, Leticia questioned why she knew about this already. She said there was no need to hide it, but didn't even let her talk and said Leticia promised to marry Lord Sebran. Lady Imelda started to yell at her again for not consulting her parents before. But her father said that it was wonderful and gave his blessings. Leticia was so happy that her father approved it. He said that forming ties with the Maguire family was hardly a bad thing, and he would speak with them himself as well. Lady Imelda was so against this and said it didn't have to be Leticia. Lord asked why she was getting so worked up about this because it wasn't like she was the one getting married. Leticia was so happy that Sebran and she would be happy from now on. She was so glad that his feelings were genuine and this was the best day of her life. While she was returning to her room, Fiona mentioned how wonderful it was to be marrying Lord Sebran. Leticia said it was, then asked how she knew about it. She said Sebran told her when they were seeing the guests off that he had made a promise of engagement to her. He said it was because it would make everyone happy. She mentioned that Lord Sebran was truly so kind. Shocked, Leticia asked if he really said that to her. Fiona confirmed what she said. She said she was so jealous of her because she was an admirable man, and it was so thoughtful of his parents to treasure others' feelings over his own. While she was saying how lucky she was, Leticia passed out because of shock. She had a dream about a girl she didn't know, standing in front of a door. She asked her to come outside and started leading her away. She asked if it was her first time seeing the ocean. Leticia asked who she was and then saw her face. She saw herself. She told her to look at something, and they saw a beautiful city. When she opened her eyes, she was in her bed. There was water next to her. She figured that she had collapsed again. She saw the photo of Sebran and her and then saw the picture right next to that. It was the scenery from her dream. If she remembered right, it was called Anemone Island. It was her mother's hometown. She started to tear up because it was beautiful. A cobalt blue sea with rows of white-walled buildings topped with blue roofs along the coast. If she could run away to a place where no one knew her, she would want it to be somewhere like this. 2 years passed, and they were about to be adults and make their engagement official. However, the way Sebran treated her hadn't changed one bit. In fact, he only seemed to be getting closer to Fiona. The real nuisance here was Leticia. Sebran was kind to everyone, so his feelings for her were nothing more than simple kindness. When they arrived at school, Sebran told Leticia that he would pick her up after class again and left with Fiona again. Once they were officially engaged, she couldn't help but hope that things would be different this time. Viola greeted Leticia and noticed that Fiona was with Sebran again. She couldn't believe she didn't care about the engagement. She was a real hater of Fiona, and she was right. She wanted her to just disappear somewhere. That made Leticia think, and she asked where she would want to go if she could go far away somewhere. She was a bit creeped out by this sudden question, but then started to think about it. She said she would go to a foreign country she had always wanted to visit, or maybe visit some relatives. It could be nice to just wander overseas without any real purpose, too, and then run away with a man she met there. That sounded wonderful to Leticia. Though she had never met her relatives before, she wondered if her grandparents were still in her mother's hometown. But they didn't even come to her mother's funeral, and she heard they had completely washed their hands of their family. While she was dozing off again, Isaac came and patted her head. Panicked, Leticia pushed him and said it was rude to touch a lady's head so casually. He said it suits her a lot better than walking around with that gloomy face looking down. Viola came and called him Tackles, but she knew he had changed too. He didn't feel as unapproachable as before. It might be because he had been working with her on the beautification committee. She said Sebran should find out about this and get at least a little jealous. Leticia didn't think Sebran would get jealous because he didn't even see her that way. Viola was feeling so bad for her friend and realized that they really were so constrained. Those who didn't have the strength to live on their own, their entire future decided by the man they married. It was like they fell in love just to survive. If she could be independent, she wondered if she should be able to live true to herself without being pushed around by men. Would living true to herself make her happier than she was now? She wondered. But then she said she was kidding because there was no point in thinking about things like that. Leticia realized that she wanted to live true to herself too. She clung to a mother broken in spirit, unable to speak, a father who had no interest in family, and a childhood friend obsessed with her stepsister. If no one would love her, then she wanted to become someone she could love. She loved Sebran, but if she chose Fiona, she could do nothing. At night, Leticia finished helping her father, and he told her to leave them over there. He said it had been 3 years since she started helping him with his work, and she had been a great help. That surprised her because she never thought he would actually speak to her. She started helping him a few years ago, hoping he might show even a little interest in her, but nothing like this had ever happened before. She wondered if it was because he was in a good mood today. She mentioned that his birthday was coming up soon. At first he seemed like she was in a bad mood, but then he said he was surprised that she remembered. She asked if he would be home this year. He said normally he would be away for work, but this year he was going to be at home. That was a bit strange because even if he wasn't home on his birthday, Leticia had given him a gift every year. She was surprised that he would think she would forget his birthday. Last year and the year before, Lady Imelda took her presents, saying she would give them to him for her. She thought Imelda might throw them away, but she didn't know what happened to the ones from before. In any case, once she reaches adulthood this year, she might have to leave this mansion, and if that happens, this might be the last time she could celebrate her father's birthday here. So at the very least, she wanted to celebrate it properly this last time, to bring up closure. In the next scene, Fiona asked Leticia if she had a moment. She wanted to talk about her father's birthday this week. They sat in the carriage and she said she thought they could all choose father's present from a man's perspective with Lord Sebran's help. If she was okay with it, they wanted to go to 3 of them after school. Sebran said Fiona and he already scouted out the shops and she should come today. Shocked, Leticia asked if they went out scouting together. Sebran asked if that was weird. She said it wasn't, but that sounded almost like a date. She said she had already prepared his present. Fiona wanted to hear what she bought for him. She said they wouldn't want their gifts to overlap. She thought it would be fine to tell her that much and said she bought cufflinks. They said that was a great choice, and Fiona asked which shop she bought it from. Sebran promised to buy something completely different. Leticia noticed that she sometimes couldn't understand what he was thinking. At school, Viola was complaining about how she got 2 hours of committee work after school today. Viola was also busy today, and she turned down Fiona and the others' invitation to invite Viola to her home, so she decided to grab a carriage and head home alone. But she then saw Isaac on a bicycle and was shocked. Isaac asked if she was by herself. She said she couldn't believe he commutes to school on a bicycle. She said it was amazing and asked if he could ride it. He asked if she was making fun of him because why would he bring it if he couldn't ride it? He asked if that was her first time even seeing a bicycle. They weren't common here, so it was her first time. She didn't know anyone close to her who could ride one. Isaac asked if she would like to ride on the back. Leticia started freaking out and said it was impossible to ride it with two people. He said she didn't have to reject it with such intensity. He asked if she was holding back because of her fiancé, even though he was off chasing after some other girl. He told her that doing this wouldn't bring her bad karma, and in fact she would be obliged to change back. Eventually, Leticia agreed to sit in the back, and she did not regret it. The wind felt so nice and she was happy. Isaac apologized because he knew it wasn't the back she was hoping to be behind. It was true that a deep part of her wished this back were Sebran's. She couldn't help but think that way, and felt bad for Isaac. While riding on the bicycle, they noticed the carriage from their house. Isaac stopped at the shop and wanted to go there. Leticia stopped him and he asked what was wrong. She didn't know how to explain this to him. She was curious about those two being in that shop, but she also didn't want to show her face there. Isaac already figured out why she was acting like that and told her to head to the bookstore 2 doors down, and he would go check things out for her. He said he didn't know what was bothering her, but at least he could check what they were buying at a men's shop. He told her to wait here and not complain. While she was looking at the books, she couldn't focus on all because she couldn't stop worrying about those two. When Isaac arrived, he informed her that they were buying cufflinks. Leticia was so shocked, and this puzzled Isaac. She said that that was her present for her father, and she couldn't believe they would buy the exact same thing. Isaac made the exact same face when he heard it. She said that they asked her since they shouldn't get the same gift, and yet they went and bought it. Isaac told her not to think about it because they bought the same thing on purpose to mess with her. Seemed like that woman was really looking down on her and told her to go back to that store right now. Leticia asked why, and he said there was nothing sweeter than the look on the face of someone who was sure they had already won. As he started dragging her out of the bookstore, he said they were going to rub it in their faces and knock them down a peg. They watched Fiona and Sebran going out of the store, and when they had gone home, Isaac questioned why they would be together without her. After that, they went into the shop. Leticia wasn't sure about anything at this point. The shop owner, Mr. Paul, asked if she was shopping here today. Isaac didn't know he knew her. Mr. Paul was the manager here, and it was her first time seeing him at the shop. He was one of her father's business partners. Mr. Paul said he was surprised to see her with her boyfriend and asked if it was a gift for him. Panicked, Leticia explained that he wasn't her boyfriend. Isaac explained that she only came here looking for a gift for her father, and he was just tagging along. Mr. Paul thought about a gift for her father for a moment and brought a tie pin asking how it would be. He said Lord Caldina came here on business just the other day, and he was eagerly searching for a purple tie pin. At the time, they were out of stock, but they had just received a new shipment. Isaac commented that it was a fine piece and asked if she could one-up that woman if she bought this. He said that they knew she was planning to give cufflinks, so they went and bought the exact same thing on purpose so she could turn the tables and prepare something different. Leticia asked if she was going to change her gift. He confirmed her and said that if her father wanted this, it shows he had a good eye because that was the same color as her eyes. After buying the pin, Leticia thanked Isaac for helping her so much. He said it wasn't a big deal, and more importantly, he wanted her to make sure she put those guys in their place. When he left, Leticia realized how strong he was. She thought how nice it would be to go anywhere on a bike like that. Compared to that, she was just standing. She had never thought about putting someone in their place because Fiona had been acting so nice to her. At home, Lady Imelda was showing off her dress. Apparently, Lord Sebran picked it. She said that compared to Leticia, Fiona was far more suited to him. Fiona said that wasn't true, but Imelda insisted that she wouldn't give up. She said her father and she were torn apart the same way, but God was watching over them, and if two people truly love each other, even if they were torn apart once, they would find their way back together like her and Lord Cardina, and the fact that they were in this house was proof. Fiona started to feel like God really did exist. When it was finally their father's birthday dinner, Fiona seemed excited. She asked her to go first to give presents, and Leticia agreed. She thanked her and said she couldn't wait for dinner. Fiona thought she was going to give her father cufflinks, and she was planning to give the same gift before she did. It wasn't like she was doing anything bad, but it still felt a little heavy on her heart. The dinner was pretty crowded. Lady Imelda wished her husband a happy birthday and said that since it was their first birthday dinner since coming to this house, they should celebrate it from the heart. Imelda wanted to present her with her gift first, and gave her a vintage wine from the year they first met. The next one was Fiona. She showed him the cufflinks and said she thought they would be perfect for him. Fiona glanced at Leticia and then said she picked those out with Lord Sebran, and if he liked that, it was thanks to him. Even his father found it odd that they picked it just the two of them. She said he was always so kind and helped her so much. Imelda mentioned that he even picked her dress out for her. She said they often go out together and he was very kind to her fiancé's family. Fiona twirled and told Leticia that it was her turn. Leticia could feel the evil eyes just staring at her. From inside here, she was going to take out the tie pin, but she was so nervous. She thought about what Isaac said. There wasn't a single person in this house who was on her side. Even if she goes against the ones basking in her father's favor, her father would always side with her stepmother and stepsister. There was no guarantee he would even be happy with a gift from someone like her in the first place. Fiona acted like she didn't know what she bought him and asked what she was going to give him. They were staring at her, full of expectation, waiting for her to embarrass herself. She reminded herself that she had to be brave and showed the purple tie pin. She asked if he would accept it. The first reaction was from Fiona because she was shocked. Her father was also shocked because that was the one thing he wanted the most. He said it was a fine piece and she did well to find it. But Fiona kept asking why. She said no one told her and she never heard about this. She repeated that no one said anything about a tie pin. Confused, her father asked what she meant. Fiona told Leticia that she said she was giving her father cufflinks and called her a liar. So-called Lady Imelda backed her up and said she lied and lying was wrong. She told her to apologize to Fiona right now and started lying. Leticia was scared, but she explained that she didn't lie. She brought the cufflinks and said she couldn't decide on just one and prepared both. But Imelda did not give up and said that preparing two gifts was totally unfair. She said that tricking people was part of her, that just like her dead mother. Realizing what she had said, she stopped and told Leticia to hurry up and apologize. Her father told Imelda that she hadn't done anything wrong. More importantly, he turned to Fiona and said Sebran was her sister's fiancé and yet she went shopping alone with him. He asked if she didn't understand that a noble lady was always under watchful eyes and she must conduct herself with more dignity if she truly were his daughter. After that, he wanted to eat it before the food got cold. Leticia couldn't believe her father actually scolded Fiona. Seeing her shocked like that, her father told her to go take her seat quickly. Even though tonight's dinner had such an atmosphere, unlike the usual tasteless dinners, tonight was truly delicious. When she finally returned to her room, she lay down on her bed because she was exhausted. Her door was knocked on and it was her father calling for her. Wondering what it was, she followed the butler and arrived at his room. The butler informed him that he had brought the young lady and took his leave. His father said he had connected the line to Sebran and told her to take the call. Puzzled, she put the phone to her ears and heard Sebran's voice. She was so excited to hear his voice so close, but still managed to ask why he was calling. He said he had counted on Caldina to put him through. Apparently, he wanted to apologize for the gift. They ended up overlapping with cufflinks and he felt bad about it. He said he told Fiona that they should choose something else, but she said there would be no harm if they were the same, and they were something he could use every day, so having more wouldn't hurt. And in the end, she pushed him into it. He apologized for not being able to stop her. But still, he said he didn't think she meant any harm and didn't want her to think badly of Fiona. All of a sudden, Leticia started to feel like nothing mattered anymore. She told him not to worry and not to be concerned about her. Looking back from this moment, she had already started to steel her resolve to quietly leave this place.